Hey everyone, I'm Matt with Ozark Overland Adventures, and this is the Bluetti AC300 with the B300 battery pack to go with it. And right now, I am currently running my home fridge, this Iceco VL35 Pro set as a freezer. I'm running a space heater, I'm running a portable air conditioner, I'm charging my phone, I'm running the iMac, and I'm running the microwave. Currently pulling just over 2,800 watts with this whole setup, and it's doing amazing. For the last 48 hours, I have been testing the AC300, running my home fridge, running different things off of it, and really trying it out as an emergency preparedness, power outage type battery backup device. And it's absolutely blowing me away. What this thing can do, what all it will run, how fast it will charge from both AC and solar. It's really quite incredible. I'm going to unplug all this stuff and get it over on the table, and let's talk more about it. Okay, let's break this thing down because this thing is a beast. This is by far the biggest power station I have ever had or tested. And to be completely honest and transparent with you, maybe 6, 7, 8 months ago, somewhere end of 2022, beginning of 2023, Bluetti did reach out to me and asked if I would review this. And I turned them down just because with this channel, we are an overlanding, camping, off-roading channel. And for our purposes, this is just way too big. It just is. This is not really practical in an overlanding situation. Now, for a van or an RV, I think it is, and we'll get into that. But Bluetti did reach out to me again recently, and I kind of rethought it because I think there is a lot of overlap between the overlanding lifestyle and this mindset of being prepared. If we were in a power outage or a tornado came through here, if my rigs were still standing after a tornado, I am equipped to live out of my Gladiator. I've got enough fridges that run off 12 volts. We could protect all of our food. I've got means to cook with. So if a natural disaster happened here, I'm prepared with my Jeep and, that. But what about my home? With my home, not so much. So if we were to have a power outage, in the wintertime, we get major ice storms here in Arkansas. So if a major ice storm comes through and takes out the power for a week or two, we've experienced that before, years ago. This becomes a very viable option to keep you going, to keep you warm, to keep your food preserved, to be able to cook. This becomes a very viable option to get you through that time period. If it's just a couple days, if it's a week before the power comes back on. I've been in an ice storm here where it took them 2 weeks to get the power back on in some parts of the state. So I wanted to revisit this and really give this a chance to see what it can do in that type of situation. And like I said, I think this is a very good option for vans and RVs as well because of all the things they can do. So what is this? This part right here is the AC300. There is no battery in this. This is where all the brains live. It has a 3,000 watt pure sine inverter, which allowed me to run everything I was running in the intro. It has 6 standard AC outlets. It has one 30 amp outlet here, which is great for hooking up your RV, your van, that sort of thing to run it off of this, which is why I think this is a very viable option for that. It's got, and I'm really disappointed in this, honestly. It's got two standard USB ports, two USB-A quick charge ports, and then one USB-C 100 watt port. So yay for having a 100 watt USB-C port. But as big as this thing is, I mean, I gripe about this on every single power station. They could have given more. Here is a 24 volt DC socket. This is not a 12 volt. It is a 24 volt DC socket. So you need to make sure you know that before you plug a standard 12 volt heated blanket or something into this and fry it. Things like 12 volt refrigerators, like I had plugged in the intro, those also operate off 24 volts, so that is no problem. But just be mindful that this is 24 volt, not a 12 volt. And then this is a 12 volt 30 amp output. So you can plug an adapter into that. This requires some DIY to make use of that, but you can run up to 330, 350 watts worth of stuff just off that one 30 amp outlet, but it does require some DIY. On top here is two wireless 15 watt charging pads that you can just drop your phone on here and they start charging. On the side here, this is where all the brains happen. Inside the AC300 is your AC charging controller. Now this will accept up to 1800 watts AC, which is a lot. And it doesn't require a brick to do so. This is your MPPT controller. So this is what you plug your solar panels into, and it has 4 connections here, positive and negative for each, and it goes to 2 separate MPPT controllers in here, which means you can run different size and different wattage and voltage solar panels off of the solar controllers in here. Which is fantastic. So you don't have to have matching pairs or everything match in your solar panels. If, like me, I have a big 600 watt panel and then I have a 200 watt panel, I can plug the 600 watt panel into one and the 200 watt panel into the other, and it works fantastic. In a normal power station with a single MPPT controller, you can't mix and match solar panels like that. And then this right here, this is a communications port. You actually can connect 2 of these AC300s together and get a 24 volt system out of this. That is way beyond my electrical knowledge, so I'm not going to get into that, but you can. I have no knowledge of that thing, so but it can be done. Here is where you connect the external batteries. You can connect, there's 2 inputs here. And that's where this comes in. This is the B300. It is a 3072 watt hour lithium iron phosphate battery pack. It's rated at 3500 cycles. And this is where the muscle comes in. And I do like the fact that Bluetti does give you extra ports on this. So let me get it so I can see. On the front of this is an actual 12 volt outlet. So 24 volt up here, 12 volt up down here. And then it comes with a USB-A port and another 100 watt USB-C port. So you do get some bonus USB ports on the B300. Now, the magic of this thing is you can connect up to 4 B300 battery packs to the AC300 and get over 12,000 watt hours worth of energy storage with this, which is absolutely bonkers to be able to store that much power. Now that will run your house for quite a while. That will get you through. It's also not cheap, obviously, to have that much power. But that's the crazy thing about it. So you start out with at least one of these. This is the cheapest combo that you can get with the AC300. They've got other combos for 2, 3, 4 solar panels. I mean, they've got all kinds of combos that you can buy this and save some money doing it that way. But this is the cheapest one, and so you can start with this, and maybe next year you add another B300, and then when you can, you add another until you get what you need. So I think that is absolutely brilliant with this whole AC300 setup. Now with the dual MPPT solar controllers in here, this thing will accept a blistering 2,400 watts of solar input. That is an absolute crap ton of solar. So you can put 1,200 watts on one input, and you can put another 1,200 watts on the other controller. And if you're able to maximize that, you can have this thing recharged in less than 2 hours, which from solar is crazy. And if you double them up, you can recharge this at 3,000 watts. So this can dual charge with 1,200 watts of solar and AC, and you can crank 3,000 watts of charging into this and charge it in just over an hour, which is mind-blowing for a power station of this size. Today has not been an ideal day for solar charging. It has been like completely cloudy all morning. The clouds are just now starting to break up, and there's a little bit of break here and there with some sunshine. But I think this is real life. If you have a power outage, if there's some emergency situation, the weather's not always going to cooperate. So I think it's important to see what's realistic on days like today. Right now, I've got a 200 watt Bluetti panel, and then I've got this big 600 watt panel as well. But what I love about the AC300 is you can mix and match panels because the solar input, each of these connections goes to a completely different MPPT controller in here. So I can, put multiple of these 200 watt panels, wire them in series or parallel, and then plug them in. I can get a couple of these and plug them in, so I can mix and match two different style panels and use the best of what I've got. And of what I've got, this is the most that I can do with this. And right now, I'm getting, well, I was getting as high as 500 watts. Now I'm getting 300 watts. Sun's coming back out again. Now I'm over 518 watts. So not bad. So if you're able during the day, like when I was running my fridge, it's pulling 300 and something watts when the compressor's on. So if I can offset that with 500 watts of solar during the day, I can power my fridge indefinitely with just solar, with just this setup right here. Now, if I am needing to power higher wattage things like a space heater, that thing pulls 800 watts on low. I'm not gonna recoup all that, but I can at least offset it. So the fact that you can mix and match solar panels with dual MPPT chargers in here, that's absolutely incredible. Now, the clouds are completely covering the sun, and with this 800 watts of solar, I'm bringing in a whopping 135 watts. But it's better than zero. Now, I thought I would simulate, a power outage with sun on solar, plus have a generator running to save, gasoline on it. And right now, I am dual charging with 1,500 watts coming in from AC, 1,600 watts coming in from AC, and 500 watts coming in from the solar panels. So currently sitting at what, 2,100 watts? That's pretty awesome. Let's take a look at the screen on this thing, because this is basically the same screen that you get with the AC200 P and Max. Showcased the AC200 Max a couple weeks ago in a different video, highlighting different 2,000 watt hour power stations. And I'll get into a little bit of comparison between this and the AC200 Max toward the end, because I think there's important things to note of the differences between the two, because they look like they would do very similar things. But on the display, you get everything you need. You get your AC and your solar or DC inputs here. You get your DC and AC outputs here. Here's where you turn those each on and off. I do wish there was a physical button on here instead of having to go into the menu. Then you have the settings. And you can do more with this than any other power station I've seen in being able to customize it. So you obviously got your language settings, you got your AC, you can customize your voltages. Your DC 1 and 2 input source, so by default they're set to PV. That means solar. You actually do get a 12 and 24 volt charging cable that you could plug this into the 12 volt socket of your vehicle, or if you have a 24 volt output, I mean, you're only going to get 12 volt, 100 watts max out of this thing. But I mean, it's an option. And to do that, you would switch whichever one you're wanting to use to the other category. So that changes the amp inputs and limits that, so you don't blow a fuse in your car, that sort of thing. So if you're charging off this adapter, you'd want to change it to other. But for the most part, we're just going to be using it with solar and not ever charging it from 12 volt. Let's see. Then you can set eco mode on and off. I like to leave mine off. Then you've got this working mode, and this serves as a legit uninterruptible power supply, or UPS. And from here, you can set it up as a standard UPS, which is what it's set at now. You can do a time control UPS, which means you can specify the parameters, the time parameters of when it's active. You can do PV priority UPS, which means if you're going to enable that, you can then set the capacity that this triggers kicking in AC. So if you've got this set up to be charging off solar and AC at the same time, if you activate that right now, it's set at 30%, I can customize that. But this will only charge off solar until it drops to 30%. At that point, it will kick in the AC power. So if you can plug this into your home and run your home off this. There's kits for it. So if you want to power your home off solar, you can set it up so as long as there's enough sun and it's keeping it above 30%, it's not going to charge from the wall outlet and cost you money from the electric company. When it dips below 30%, then the AC charging will kick in to help get it back up. I think that is crazy cool. And then you have a customized UPS where you can do all kinds of different things with it. But for the most part, in my situation, I just leave it in standard UPS mode. Then you can turn off on and off silent mode, so the little beeps that you can turn off. You can also set your max grid input current up to 15 amps, which is what it's currently set at. But maybe you've got an older house and it can't handle 15 amps, and you plug this in and it's blowing the fuse. Well, you can dial this down to 12 amps or 10 amps or whatever, depending on what you're using to charge this. You can customize that, which I think is great. PV parallel enable. That means that if you enable that, that means that the two solar inputs are running in parallel mode, which means the solar panels have to match. So I just leave that in off because my solar panels don't match. And then they function independently, which is fantastic. Then it's got both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connectivity. Both of them are app control settings. So Bluetooth, which I'm currently not connected to, just allows a Bluetooth connection. And then Wi-Fi, if this is connected to the Wi-Fi, I can actually connect to this remotely from the app. So if I am away from home and something happens and I need to check on this, set parameters, turn things on and off, whatever, I can actually do that with Wi-Fi. So that's pretty cool. Then we get into buzzer settings, touch screen, touch sounds, dates, sleep time for your screen, and then restore stuff. Press home. Then you've got your data, whole bunch of information here. Most importantly is this battery information. You can see I have 1 of 4 batteries plugged in here. State of charge is 55%. It's currently in standby and it's online. And then you have different, if an alarm was triggered, maybe you overloaded a circuit or something, the alarm codes and data would be there. So super awesome. So much detail in what you can get out of the screen. Now, As awesome as this screen is and the amount of things that you can do for it, it is a beautiful screen when you're inside the house or shaded. It is a horrible screen when it's in sunlight. Like it's not even readable, which is really handy to have the app, because if you have this sitting outside and the sun's on it, you really, it's not even readable. So I use the app if it's out in the sun, because that's the only way I can control it. So beautiful screen, lots of info, but it just doesn't work in direct sunlight, which I don't think is going to be a problem for most people. My biggest issue is having to lug it outside to do testing, because I don't have long enough cords to go from outside to inside, which probably need to get that. Now, let's talk about real world scenarios, because like I said, I've been putting this through the paces here in my house for the last 48 hours. My fridge has been plugged into it full time. I was very curious to see how well this would run my home fridge and for how long. My fridge is not a new fridge by any standard, so I'm sure any modern fridge is going to be more energy efficient than mine. But I think it's an average size fridge. I think it's 25 cubic feet fridge. So I think it's pretty average. With my older fridge, this ran it for over 13 hours down to 10%. At 10%, I wanted to then see about recharging it. So the best way to do that in a power outage situation, if it's cloudy, is going to be with a generator. Now you may be thinking, well, if I have a generator, why do I need this? Well, because like I said, this thing ran my fridge for 13 hours, and I only had to run the generator for 3 hours to recharge this, saving a lot of fuel running the generator. All right, after 13 hours, the fridge got down to 6%. So 13 hours, not bad. So what I've done, like, real world power outage situation, it's currently cloudy outside. So I have taken the power cord, and I have a small 3,500 watt generator that I'm using to recharge it. So currently getting 1,600 watts off the generator. I mean, that should take, a few hours, and we'll see how it goes. Of course, the fridge is still running at the same time, so we'll see how long this takes to recharge. Well, just 3 hours later, and the B300 is back to 100% charge. So that was not bad at all. So I think they're a great combination, especially when it's cloudy. If it's sunny, I'm going to be running the solar panels to just keep it topped off. But at night, especially, or when it's super cloudy, that's when the generator comes in as a very efficient way to recharge this with AC 1,800 watts going in. Recharged it in under 2 hours, or excuse me, in under 3 hours. And that situation worked incredibly well. So obviously this is going to run your home fridge, it's going to run a space heater, it's going to run a portable air conditioner, it's going to run your computer, it's going to keep all your stuff charged, it's going to run your microwave if you need to cook. If you don't have propane and you have an electric skillet, you can run that off of it. I mean, this thing will run anything you throw at it. For how long depends on the load. The load I was starting out with at just over 2,800 watts, that would sustain that for about an hour, which is not what you want, but I'm not going to be running my microwave for an hour, which was the bulk of that load. A space heater, 800 watts for a space heater, up to 1,200 watts on high. Do the math, that's less than 3 hours running a space heater, so you're not going to run that non-stop. If power goes out in the winter because of an ice storm, you're going to want to bundle up under blankets, not waste all of this energy with a space heater, although you could warm up a small room real quick just to make it comfortable if need be. So it's there for you in a pinch. One thing to add about the B300 battery expansion here is you can use this on its own. There's no AC inputs on it, but if you just need to run DC, the 12 volt and the USB ports, you can actually use the standalone. It actually has its own charging inputs here. It's got its own solar controller in here where it can charge up to 1600 watts with solar. It comes with this little adapter here. And then it also has a barrel plug adapter. So if you have, or can purchase separately, their big 500 watt power brick that comes with the AC200 P and Max, you can actually charge this by itself with the 500 watt power brick without needing this. If you're ever in a situation where maybe you have a couple of these, but you need to separate them and let someone borrow, I don't know, just coming up with ideas. But you can charge this separately from this. What I don't know is if you can dual charge this through these inputs and this input. I did plug this into the barrel plug adapter here, and it does charge with it hooked up, but it doesn't show up on the screen. That readout doesn't come through the cable to show up on the screen how fast it's charging. So I wasn't able to then plug in the AC and see if I can double that. I'm not sure. I need to get with Bluetti on that and find out, because that would be really handy. But you can use this standalone, and it does have its own little chargers. Let's compare these two real quick, the AC200 Max versus the AC300. Because on paper, the AC200 Max looks to be the more versatile of the two options. Because the AC200 Max can accept the B230 expansion battery, which is a 2048 watt hour battery, and it can accept the B300. So it can accept both. I did try the B230 on the AC300, and this will not connect to this. I'm not sure why. You would think that it would, because with this combination, I could turn this into over 5,000 watt hours worth of power, which I can have on this one. And since the AC200 Max has its own 2048 watt hour battery inside it, if I connect the B300, actually, here we go. So I can take the B300, I can plug it into the AC200 Max, and now this is a 4, 5, 6, over 7,000 watt hour power station right here, which that obviously sounds, in my circumstance here, that obviously sounds better. But after testing both of them, here's my real world conclusions. For emergency preparedness, disaster, power outage type of thing, this is your better option because of how much it can power. This is only a 2,000 watt power station. This is a 3,000 watt. This has a 3,000 watt inverter in it. They both have 30 amp plugs, so you can run RVs and stuff off of them. But the charging capacity alone of the AC300 blows the AC200 Max away. There's no way this can recharge as fast as this. And I think, just solar alone, in a real disaster, power outage type of situation, the solar charging capabilities of this alone sets this up above this. Now, from a pure energy, storage thing, if I need to just set something up and run something without having to recharge it, obviously this is the one I'm going to go to and plug both of these into it, because 7,000 watt hours trumps 3,000 watt hours. But if I'm going to have, be recharging it and running it, in that type of situation, I'm going with this because of how fast I can charge it. This one, the best, even if I'm running a generator on this thing, the only best I can get is 500 watts worth of AC, whereas this one's 1800 watts. I don't remember what the solar charging is on this, 900 watts I think, versus 2400 watts. I mean, there's no contest between the two of them. So, where, like I said, on paper, this looks like the better option because I can connect everything to it. In real world, this is for emergency preparedness, this is the better one. For overlanding, this one, hands down, which may, for you, make it serve double duty, so that may be a huge selling point because this one, this one is small enough that you can take this, just the AC200 to power all your stuff at camp, leave the expansion batteries at home for emergency purposes. And so in that type of situation, this is, if you can only pick one, this is going to be more versatile. But in real, power outage, disaster recovery type thing, this one's actually more useful because of how quickly it can recharge. So let's talk about the value of it, because as you can imagine, these aren't cheap. Like I said, this right here is the cheapest bundle you can get, the AC300 with the B300 battery pack. This comes in at $25.99 at current pricing at the time this video is being recorded. $25.99, which puts it at 85 cents per watt hour, which is perfectly respectable. I know when this first came out, it was more than that. I think it was almost close to $3,000. The price has come down since this has been out. And I think 85 cents a watt hour for what all this can do, how fast it can charge, I think that is a really good value for this. With, in the box, you honestly get everything you need. You get the AC adapter. If I can untangle them here. You get the AC adapter, and you get the dual solar adapters. And I love the fact, yay Bluetti, for giving me MPPT connections, not XT60s or XT90s or some other thing. Yay for the MPPT. That's what most solar panels use. So props to Bluetti for that. You get the 12 volt, 24 volt charging cable here, which I'll never use. And then with the B300, you get the solar connection for it if you need to charge that by itself, to plug in 600 watts worth of solar into it with an XT90 connector into there. So you do get that. But yeah, $25.99 for this combo. Like I said, there's a bunch of other combos with multiple battery packs, multiple solar panels. I mean, there's so many different ways you can configure this. And you don't have to use Bluetti's panels, although I do usually recommend, matching brand power station with brand solar panels, because typically, they're guaranteed to work. And Bluetti has some really nice large solar panels that don't, they have the new PV450, which just, two of those, you'd have 900 watts of solar, which would be crazy. $2,600, 85 cents per watt hour for this combo. So let me know in the comments, if a natural disaster happens, ice storm, tornado, hurricane, and the power is out for an extended period of time, especially in the winter or even the summer. We've had a brutal summer. I don't know, normally in the summertime you get blackouts and stuff like that in California, other places like that, which that can't be fun. But I'm curious to know your state of preparedness, how something like this would fit into it. Like I said, you can plug this into your home grid with a kit if you've got the know-how, and use this to offset your energy costs for your home. So it's absolutely brilliant. If you would, give the video a like, please, and subscribe to the channel if you're not. Help us reach the goal of 100,000 by the end of this year. And if you like what we're doing and you like the content we're putting out and you want to consider supporting the channel, check out the Patreon link in the description. Gain access to special events, special content, all of our GPS data from our trips, that sort of thing. And for Ozark Overland Adventures merchandise, go to shopoverlandapparel.com. Thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful. See you next time. Bye.